This is episode number 6 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. My name is Jeff Thornton, tech entrepreneur and fitness enthusiast, alongside Michael Anders and Jason Sani. Each week we bring you an inspiring person or message related to our 4 pillars of success: manifestation, business, fitness, and nutrition. Thank you for allowing us to join you on your journey. Now let's get started.
Hey, welcome to Feed Me, Fuel Me, episode 6. Mike Anders here with Jeff and Jason, and today we're going to talk about the importance of a solid support system when you embark on anything that's important to you in this life. And I just want to go ahead and kick it off with there's absolutely no way that I would be where I'm at without a really strong inner circle that, not necessarily pushed me in a particular direction, but wouldn't let me let off the gas. And to me, that's a more important aspect of your inner circle, because there's going to be hardships and difficulties and trials and tribulations and all that kind of good stuff. And you just need people that are going to keep you moving at the pace that you're moving, not necessarily trying to speed you up or, push you one way or the other, but more so just keep you going. And yeah, so I think it's extreme. If you try to do anything great in this life, there's absolutely no way that you can do it by yourself.
So true. And the first thing that comes to my mind is the accountability standpoint. I think that if we don't have that intrinsic motivation or that an internal motivator that comes from like a belief habit or some sort of deadline tied to something, it's just too easy to kind of let things go. And it's like when you have that network of whether it's overachievers or people that are performing in whatever you're doing, you begin to believe and expect that out of yourself, when the other people do as well. And if you know this, it's a cool way. And I got this advice from a mentor of mine a long time ago, that it's, if you can talk to the people around you like you believe in them, and it's been a tagline that I say so much, and sometimes it comes off as a kind of a joke, but I say, I believe in you, and that factor can get people that are on the fence for making some sort of big move in their life. Maybe it's making a big decision for them to take that next step, because that's all I needed was that little bit of a push. And that's saying from that aspect of maybe somebody like a stranger coming in, but when you have that network around you on a regular basis, and some people got to seek it out, it's like insurance for progress, I feel like. And it's just, it's a powerful thing that the power of the people around you can make you super comfortable, or it can make you comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And it's like, I see that around some of the people around me, that it's like, ooh, that's kind of scary, the idea of that. But I've seen other people do it, and they say, hey, I'm going to do it type of thing in a positive way. And it's like, you can weigh out the positives and the negatives. If I don't do it, I'm missing out on this type of thing that could be a major positive. If I do it, I have these cool things to gain. So, where have you seen this, Jeff, in a time in your life, I guess, like the power of that network that has brought in some positives?
Right. So for me, with the support system, starting out, you always rely on your family first as the building block. You eventually start branching out as you start meeting more people, whether it's in person or online mentors, I call them, where you're watching YouTube, you're reading their books, and you set yourself to sort of like modeling their circle, like we mentioned, like a Gary Vaynerchuk, those type of guys. I look at the people they surround themselves with, and so I would go on tears where I'm like, okay, I roll through their social medias, see who these people they're surrounding themselves with, and I would directly follow them, see what type of stuff they're posting, right? And then I would start building out from there. And I think initially when I first started out, trying to really get my network built, a powerful thing I did was like I would voice my goals or my ambitions on a public platform. So if I didn't have it, I would say, okay, on Facebook, boom, I want to achieve, this is what I'm going to achieve this year in 2014, 2015. And so, yeah, the people have connected to me. Apparently, I know them in some way. now it sort of holds me to a fact that like all these people, however many people I have on Facebook, saw me post this about what I'm going to do this year. Now I have to follow through at this point. So you sort of put your balls to the wall, and your feet to the fire. And that's really got me motivated. And people started seeing like, oh, I see what this guy's talking about. I see what he's going about. And I've been able to attract a network through that way and build it out.
That's so powerful.
It's like manifesting.
Yeah. It's so powerful, though, because what I found is just very natural human behavior that we will accept letting ourselves down way easier than letting somebody else down. And when a huge driver for my success to this point has been announcing a goal to somebody very important to me or a group of people very important to me that either I look up to or look up to me. I haven't seen that it necessarily works amongst peers per se, but when you create expectations between levels of influence, the fear of letting them down is a huge motivator. And I don't know what else to call it other than the fear of letting them down. But it's positive. I don't want to frame it in a negative sense, but it becomes motivation that I said I was going to do X, Y, Z, and they're expecting me based on the history of our relationship to, follow through and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then something to say that I think hopefully will bring some value here is how do you go about finding that network if you don't have that? I've seen firsthand like somebody, I was talking with my little brother recently who I feel like his peers around him, he doesn't have a lot of that around him. And he's had a role model, which I feel like he didn't stick with, and you can't expect role models to go out of their way if you're not putting forth not putting forth that effort. So when people are ready, where are your suggestions there to find that type of network? Because I've been around people like when I work with a client who's trying to make significant health changes, for example, I tell them find some healthy mentors that you have, and maybe you don't even know them personally, but you can be a creeper and kind of see what they're doing, like what are their morning habits like, what are they eating, ask a lot of questions and so on. But I say, because there's people that's their reason for this, they play this blame game, this pity thing, like, well, I don't have any positive people around me. I don't have any successful people around me or fit people around me. Where do you recommend people to go to find that type of network if they don't have it? Because I know what Jeff was saying, which I thought was hot, was, maybe it isn't firsthand like you're somebody you live with or a family member, but you can find it online. And I definitely agree with that aspect that, when I'm not top notch and high energy, I have different resources that I'll go to kind of view that. Do you have any other tips?
Yeah. In 2016, you have so much access to people that it would have been impossible to reach out to 10 years ago. So the online space, people's YouTube channels and blogs and stuff like that, just create instantaneous access. And in real-time space, like I'll just use the gym for example, when we have members that are coming in and like we talked about on the last show, putting in a ton of volume, but they're really not getting anywhere, but they're putting forth the effort. That's a scenario where mentors will make themselves available because they see you putting in the effort, but you're not necessarily putting that effort in a particular direction that's overall productive. Mm-hmm. You're doing a lot of work, but you're not really doing anything. And that's what I've always found when mentors were blessed, when I was blessed with mentors who reached out to me. I was doing a lot of stuff, and it might have been a shotgun blast and, I had a whole lot of things going on. And then mentors, the good ones will see that and help guide you in a particular direction for a certain period of time, get you back on track and get you moving. And that's how we pick up the majority of our interns. They're the ones that are putting forth a lot of quality effort. They're genuinely interested in the process, but they just don't necessarily know how to go about it. So we bring them in and we show them the process, how to program, how to, get the most out of their performance. And we kind of bring them along and really cultivate that knowledge and experience. And I feel like that dynamic is true of picking up any mentor. Is as long as you're putting forth, we use fitness and business quite a bit, but as long as you're in the space that you want to be in and you're putting forth that effort, somewhere there's a mentor that's watching.
Right.
And I think, speaking of that, the way I look at that is the people from a mentor perspective, you want to see that somebody's putting some skin in the game, and it's kind of their buy-in to it. Because there's a lot of people that the wouldn't it be nice mentality of saying, the all talk and not enough action type of thing. And I that's one thing that I can really stick to is like when you see somebody that's actually taking a little bit of action, again, like we said, they're not in that neutral position. They're in an area that's moving. You can see that based on their actions that they've actually done, they mean business, at least somewhat. Whereas it's easy for people to say, oh, that'd be a good idea. I want to try this. But now it's just like, in a time where our attention is constantly being, it's such a competitive time just to grab people's attention. People are going from one thing to another that it's hard for people to commit to things and stick with them. So I think that I can make a suggestion to people like looking for mentors. Have kind of a map or an idea of where you want to go, start in that direction, and then if you're asking for a mentor, say, look, here's what I've done so far. What are your suggestions the next step? I know that you've gone through something like this. And it's the same thing like with your group and your peers. Like, let people know what you're up to. You can't expect that everybody knows your secret projects that you've been working on.
Right.
So it's like, let people know that, look, this means a lot to me. I've been putting this time working. I've been trying to create this business, or, I'm trying to create a hot sauce or something. And it's like, here, try it out. People can see that rather than some idea that, oh, it'd be cool if you did something like that.
Right.
And it's then I feel like you can get the people to really buy in to what you're doing. And then you kind of grow your wings and fly, ideally.
Right. And I think for 2 points, I think for the first point, I would say if you really want to find a mentor or a network, I suggest paying for a network. Sure. And what I mean by that is paying to go to seminars that relate to whatever industry you're in. Because what other skin in the game do you have besides putting your money on the line? Then you're forcing yourself to surround yourself with people with like-minded mindsets. Because who's going to put $1,000, $2,000 on the line to go to a certain area and mastermind with a group of people? That's one of the best things you can do for yourself and your business, personal growth and learning. So I push myself to at least go to 5 seminars a year. Maybe you come out with a little bit of knowledge or just one piece of knowledge from each and one of them, but at least try to grab one thing or one interaction that continue to grow. And then people see you start putting out your content, and they could say, hey, because I went to an app seminar in Hawaii just this past year in April. And so I started my daily vlogging and all that stuff. But I finally got to meet these people I've known about for 3 years, since 2013. But I meet them face to face. So a month passes after the seminar or whatever. And the main guy who hosted the seminar, he says, I saw one of your vlogs and I found this really interesting. He's like, if you guide your vlog into this direction towards fitness or whatever, I could see you making massive progress in a short period of time. But it takes that little insight of meeting that one person and, just getting out there and putting yourself to where they're able to provide that little bit of knowledge and guide you in a direction that you were trying to find before. And I guess like the second piece of advice I would have, and I just lost my train of thought just going off on that one. Oh man, I'll have to come back to it. I just lost my second piece.
I think whether it's money or servitude, you have to come to the table with something. Right. If you want somebody to invest time in you and guide you along the way to help you accomplish whatever your goal is, or streamline a goal for that matter, you have to have some kind of skin in the game. All of our interns, they're learning a ton, but they're also doing, some of the dirty work in the gym, keeping the bathrooms clean, keeping the fridge stocked with Fit Aid, all that kind of good stuff. And it's kind of a rite of passage. How much does this education or the answer that you're searching for, how much does that mean to you? And by putting forth that effort and being gracious about it. We don't go out of our way to haze our interns or anything like that, but there's an expectation that you're going to have to earn this education.
Right.
Yeah. You pay to go to school. You pay for knowledge in general. There's nothing free. And every mentor I've ever had, I either worked for or I paid.
Right.
And that just increases the value of the education, because now I have a responsibility as a mentor to provide you with quality education and information to help you to get to where you want to go. But at the same time, you're accountable to me to put in a certain amount of work or a certain amount of dollars for that information. So
Right.
it's reciprocal, and it has never worked out one way or the other. It has to go both ways.
Right. And thanks. You triggered what my second point is going to bring up. It is that if you are seeking mentorship, never come at it from a point of saying, hey, mentor, how can you help me? You have to come at the standpoint of, first, how can I help you? So you have to be willing to offer, saying, okay, I can do these certain things for you, like you were talking about interns or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And first you want to do some fact finding. Tell me about how you started your business. Tell me some things about your life. You start finding about what makes them tick as a person, what they enjoy, and start really, I say, data mining that person, so to speak, and figuring out where you can fit in the pieces of the puzzle. Like, start introducing them to people that help their business, and eventually they're going to reciprocate that type of goodwill back onto you. And even if it isn't that person, that mentor that you're seeking, they're gonna link you to their network of people that can help you worlds. I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest things I see, because when people come at you in a way of, hey, how can you help me? That's like, you look at them like, what do you mean, how can I help you? You haven't done anything for me at this point.
Right.
So you never want to come in from a give me, let me, can you spare standpoint. It's like, you want to be giving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like, you see that role happen all the time. I think we're in a thing that people, from either two different perspectives. Either it's like people have this expectation that they should be treated away, that they're enabled to, or to get this and get that they're deserving of this, or some people that are afraid to ask for it in the first place. So it's like, if you can go with that approach of thinking, how can I add value to the people's lives around me? And in some cases, it's like, just be positive. You don't necessarily have to, like, maybe the opposite of being negative. Is sometimes that is adding value to the people around you. If you can just acknowledge, maybe show a little bit of gratitude, just be positive is going to play a role. If somebody maybe having a bad day, and it's going to shift that momentum from it getting worse to maybe getting a little bit better. And that bringing energy, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is thinking that whoever I come in contact with, I hope that they leave feeling better, and it's not necessarily that I'm trying to help them, but it's something that, like, they leave, there's something positive in that interaction that you have. And from somebody looking for a mentor's perspective, you got to look at people's perspectives. People are busy doing a lot of things. It's not that people don't care about you and they're not thinking about you, but you have to look that people are doing a lot of their own things as it is. So you can't be afraid to ask, but understand the people that you want to learn from, like you said, and then don't be afraid to ask. And not just don't be afraid to ask, find the courage to ask. Because there's too many cases where I see people, it's like, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. Well, ask somebody that's already got started, ask, you know what I mean? It's something that I remember I made it a goal for a month. I wrote it in my journal, like, every day at the beginning of my little passion planner thing that I have. It was like, what am I going to ask today? I wanted to ask a question that would get uncomfortable. Because I find that it's like a courageous act when somebody gets out of their comfort zone and asks you something that almost makes you feel awkward. And in some cases it's entertaining, in some cases it's courageous, in some cases it's kind of like, bro, where'd you come from? Like, the people are like, how much do shoes cost? Where'd you get that? Those types of, and I know I have friends that were like that, and it's hilarious. Part of that's a kind of a hustle mentality that's cool, but it takes courage to be able to ask a question and know that, You might get the answer, you might not get the answer, but if you can make a habit on a daily basis of asking, it could be a stranger, you could find some practice, but slowly start asking, and you'll realize that people are there to help you out, and people do maybe want to get involved in whatever your endeavor is. But that's maybe your action step is reaching out, showing some action that you're doing something, but asking for advice, asking for help. And I see too many people afraid to start because they feel like they're not prepared enough or don't have the resources or whatever the case is.
Yeah, it's been it's even simpler than that. When you're trying to initiate that conversation, there's information that you want to get out of somebody. I can't tell you how much I've benefited from simply taking somebody out to lunch. Hey, let's go grab a beer. I want to ask you some questions if you have the time. And just again, that's very, very alike into having skin in the game. You're investing, in that person for however short a period of time, but you're not asking them to come out of pocket, and you're not inconveniencing them. It's very rare that somebody who's what I would call a noble human being turns down a free meal. You know what I mean? So, a lot of people that, you might feel are out of reach are actually on board with something like that, and you get to a certain point in your career where it's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, and I've been there before. Let me help you out, and I think taking a step further, once you have that bedrock of network, that's your launch pad. Now you can go expose yourself to the planet Earth and know that regardless of how you're judged, good, bad, or indifferent, these people will be behind you to help pick you up, dust you off, and move on to the next. But if you don't establish that bedrock first, your willingness to take chances decreases exponentially because you're constantly trying to play it safe. But when you have a network of people behind you that support you, your willingness to take chances grows by leaps and bounds, and you become more comfortable taking those courageous acts because you know that you have that support system behind you that's on board with whatever it is. But the common denominator here is you have to announce your intentions. Never, and it's happened. It's totally backfired on me where there was somebody that I admired and I finally got access to him and I said, hey, I want to take you out to lunch. And they immediately answered my request with a question. Well, what is it that you want to know? And I was like, shit. Silence. I knew I wanted to be in their presence and there's stuff that I want to know about them, but I wasn't like, there was no purposeful intention for our interaction, and they just completely passed me by. So when you make yourself a presence in a potential mentor's life, if you're working your way up the ladder versus working your way down and pulling people up with you, come with some intent. At least have one thing that you want to learn from them and put it out there on the table. I want to know how you got your start. I want to know what your daily routine is. Whatever, and they'll be more apt to take you seriously at that point. But it all comes down to having that foundation of people, announcing your intentions, and taking that courageous act like you were talking about, Jason, and just asking the question. The answer is always no if you don't ask.
And to touch on that, I've talked about this idea of mind muscles, and it's something that I still have a fascination with. That you got to think of them like courage, confidence, love. These are all muscles. You got your love muscle, but courage, the more you use it, the stronger it gets with repetitive action. And we can easily think about this. Like somebody that's shy or maybe a little gun shy or to ask something is so uncomfortable for them. Like first of all, they don't want to feel like they can or need to rely on anybody. So them asking a simple question, maybe that's a courageous act for them. Or, approaching a girl, you may be getting turned down, and then just realize it's a numbers game. And who knows, maybe she has all kinds of things going on. That's why she's not giving you attention, or, you can't take that personal. But the more you do that, you get comfortable. And so maybe that's small talk with people that you see in the grocery store or random, just kind of getting comfortable. But I promise, the more you do courageous acts, you grow larger to where your past acts that you viewed as courageous are nothing. They're nothing but a thing. You know what I mean? It's just part of what you do. And it's like now you're busy doing things that are actually have a lot of value to that. So that's something that can be said with taking action as well. The things that used to be such a big, fearful type of action now are it's just what you do. It's your new normal.
So let me ask you this from a mentorship standpoint, because I feel like we're all in points of our lives, both personally and professionally, where we find ourselves engaged in a lot of conversation with people trying to get to where we're at. Do you find yourself sometimes with, you've targeted those people that would be worthwhile apprentices, or, your time would be well vested in them, and you're just waiting for them to approach you? Like, do you find yourself like, come on, just ask me?
Absolutely. I can think of a couple.
Like how far out of your way do you go to find somebody to mentor, or how long do you wait for them to become a presence in your life?
I value time as one of the most, I don't want to say one of, it is the most precious commodity that there is. So it's something like I value the time that I have. At the same time, it's like, I value the character and the legacy that I want to create as well, to where it's just like you said, I want to give time to people that want that time, that are willing to put in that type of work. Like, like my little brother, for example, like I would lose sleep trying to give this guy advice, but maybe he wasn't ready for it. And there's people around me where I've tried not to solicit that. I've let people know, hey, I'm here if you need any sort of help. And I feel like if you're really sincere about that and you get that point across, that's usually the best thing that you can do. And just make sure you're sincere and you're getting the point across. Like, it's not a trouble to do something like that. But in a time like this where time is such a commodity, you have to make sure that the people that it's worthy of that time. Because I feel like there's so many people that just want information or want to talk, or that you could engage with. So same thing. I want to see that there's that potential. But I love the idea of helping somebody and seeing somebody's head nod and delivering like an aha moment type of thing, because I think that's what life is about. Like, when you can pass on advice, it's like nostalgic. It's like that's what life is about. Like, I wouldn't have been where I've gotten if I hadn't had mentors all around me in so many different areas of life that went out of their way, and I'm extremely grateful for all those situations, to where it's like I feel like it's almost my duty to pass that on. There's definitely times where I wish people would be more open to that type of information.
Sure. What about you, Jeff?
I guess I'm open to it, providing mentorship, but for me, it's discussing, like Jason said, time's the commodity. It's that I want the person at a point to where they're ready and they're actively going to listen and produce results from the advice that I'm giving. Because there's been times like you give that advice and it's like, boom, the next day it's like they're back at square one of what you've already told them. And it's like, what'd you waste my hour or 2 hours for at this point? Mm-hmm. But I think for me, I just want to be at a point to where if somebody's going to come seek advice from me, or, even just mentorship or friendship or whatever it may be, I could be a friendship through mentorship or whatever, but I just want the person to be ready and to be willing to accept advice and be able to give feedback to one another, not only for myself, but, that I can help him or her, or then they can help me as well in whatever way it may be. Because we're all going through this simultaneously. Even if you are a mentee, so to speak, there has to be a point to where, I was taught, like when I was working for SAP, this tech company, SAP, I had several mentors, but they said as a mentee, you have to be the one that comes prepared to bring the topics to the table. What is it that you want to learn first, so we can guide this process around helping build you? And at the same time, this process is helping that mentor become a better teacher to help impart the message even better, more impactful.
Right.
But yeah, so I think I'm always open to helping people. That's my number one thing is like if you can't give back, there's no, I don't know, there's not, if you're not able to give back what you've learned, I don't think that's, what are you going to leave your mark on this world? What's going to be your legacy?
Right.
You know, but yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That's the driving factor in developing that support system. Whether it's you're looking for people to back you up or you're looking for people to show you the way. Ultimately, what either camp is looking for is for you to show commitment to your craft.
Right.
And if you lack that abundance of commitment, it's going to show in your network through lack of support or lack of information. And that's the driving factor of it all. If you're not committed, nobody on either end of that spectrum is going to commit to you because it's not worth their time. Nobody wants to attach themselves to a sinking ship, so to speak, or a stalled car, if you will. If you're not committed to your process and showing adequate effort, then that network and that support system will inevitably be non-existent.
Right. It's like that mentality of the 51-49. You always want to be giving 51% to build this relationship. You have to give that extra effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just really important to think about. And, you know, we all go through it every day as we search for mentors personally.
Right.
And you just try, how can you continue to add value to somebody's life, even, you know, as far as you're trying to reach up and find mentorship or even trying to find a mentee, that somebody that you know is ready to pull the trigger, that needs that helping hand. They just need that little bit of guidance to push them over the top, over the cliff.
Right.
Because, yeah, they're going to get bumped down the cliff, but, man, they're going to open the wings once you say, hell, that advice opened me up to things I didn't even know I could achieve in my life.
And I'll you know, I want to share this story because I find it extremely important to the conversation that we're having. I have one of my very first apprentice through the gym just started his own remote training program, and so he goes as far as creating his own website, his own Instagram handle, all these things, and then when he goes to launch it and announce it, he announces it in the members only page, right? And the next after I saw that, you know, he had announced it where he announced it, it kind of fired me up because, you know, I watched him put all this work in, and then he played it safe. I was like, what? Why? You know, all these people know you. They've watched you develop from an intern to an amazing coach to somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, and now they come to you for advice where they would, you know, otherwise have to come to me. Like, now they see you as a subject matter expert. That's so huge. Announce that shit to the world and know that all these people are behind you. You know, it doesn't do you any favors to, you know, stick to your camp. That's not where you grow. You know, you have to put yourself out there to be judged. And like we were talking about earlier, know that you have this support system behind you, backing you up, knowing that everything that you're putting out there is for the better. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there is no growth in playing it safe. You put forth all this effort, and there's so many people now that believe in you and believe in your process. Now it's time to let that flourish. And that's why having that network, that support system is so important, because now you have that safety net, if you will. Take the fucking chance and see what happens, you know? But like, all these people know what you're up to, so that doesn't do you any good. You got to put it out there for the world to judge and know that there's somebody behind you to catch you and keep you moving forward. Right. You know? So.
You said fear of failure or fear of success, either one.
Right.
I think people are more fearful of success than they are failure at some point. Yep. That's good. I didn't know about that story. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, and now he's rocking it.
Yeah, he's kicking.
Yeah. So, we'll have him on the show one of these days.
Oh, yeah. We need him for sure.
So, yeah, Caleb, we're talking about you.
Big C.
So, that's it for episode 6. Thanks for tuning in to Feed Me Fuel Me again every Friday, and you can catch all the extras at feedmefuelme.com. Feel free to check out our channel and make sure that you subscribe. Thanks for your time, and again, we appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your journey.
And that's a wrap for this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to check out the full show notes and get connected with us at feedmefuelme.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at feedmefuelme. We're looking forward to connecting with each and every one of you. If you found this episode inspiring in any way, please rate, comment, and subscribe so we can continue on this journey together. Also, share it with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, or any other social platforms that you use. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today and allowing us to join you on your journey. We would love to hear your feedback on this episode and topics for future episodes. To end this episode, we would like to leave you with a positive quote by African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next episode.